More than 50% of church-going men say they watch porn regularly, but how are we as the church and faith leaders helping those in need of help? My guest today is no stranger to 100 Huntley Street. Sathiya Sam has shared his own journey to freedom from addiction, which led him to start a recovery program that would help other men, and he's here today to help us understand what's really at stake with this generation of porn addicts. Welcome back to 100 Huntley Street.
Always nice to be here and get to do it in person.
I know. It's been on Zoom the past couple of times. It's good to have you here in the flesh. You're an author, you're a speaker, you're the founder of DeepClean, which is an organization that helps men get free from addiction. Just give us a sense of how big of a problem this really is.
So the last time you and I spoke it was during the pandemic. We saw a huge spike in porn viewership during the pandemic, and everybody said, well, it's just the pandemic and it'll go back to normal. It hasn't gone back to normal, and that's because pornography is so addictive. So the viewership is at an all-time high. The top 3 porn sites get more hits than Amazon, Twitter, or X, and Netflix combined. So it's getting worse. It's getting more addictive. Now you have technology advances with AI and all that. Right. It's really advancing.
So this issue that we thought would die off when things resumed, we got back to a sense of normalcy in the pandemic, and in fact, it's gotten worse.
Yeah.
What makes you, though, personally so passionate about helping men get free?
Because when you actually understand freedom, so not just sobriety. Sobriety is just like, oh, I don't watch it, but any day I could make a bad mistake and I might slip again. Freedom is where it's like, I'm a new person. And when you walk in freedom, everything in your life changes. Your relationships, your future, your connection with God, the things that you dream about. You see the world through different lenses when you walk in freedom. And that just never gets old for me. I've experienced it personally, and when I get to help other people do it, it's amazing.
Yeah, and I love the fact that DeepClean makes the statement that freedom is possible.
Yeah.
Because what's the point otherwise? Because there's so many men watching perhaps right now, Sathiya, that are saying, I've tried a lot of things that haven't necessarily worked.
Yes.
I want to quote something out of your book, The Last Relapse. You said, if someone masterfully destroyed the porn industry today, and tomorrow there were no more porn sites on the internet, a majority of porn addicts would still have a problem. What do you mean by that? What's the root of this addiction?
I think the root of most addictions are victimhood. So we blame circumstances, we blame other people, or we blame environmental conditions. The reality is all addiction and all sin starts in the heart. Mm-hmm. And so you can remove the industry, but if your heart is problemed, it doesn't matter if the industry exists or not. Something's going to capitalize on the brokenness of humanity. So we urge people, we have an inside-out approach to recovery because we know that if we can get people bulletproof on the inside, it doesn't matter what the environments are. It doesn't matter if AI develops or VR or whatever. We can navigate all those circumstances of life because everything starts within.
Do you think it's part of our human condition that we're looking to fill these broken places with vices, with behaviors, with they become addictions? Is that what we're searching for? And why do we not look to the Creator to fill and repair those broken places?
Porn addiction is an intimacy disorder at its core. So that's what we're all really after. And we all know, the first place we seek intimacy is with the Lord. That's usually where the breakdown happens first. But I think the way we get into these vices, it's ultimately we're pursuing connection and the byproducts of connection, feeling confident in ourselves and secure and a sense of purpose and meaning in life. That's what we're all after, and that's either what people are trying to get out of pornography or it's the lack thereof in their lives that drives them to cope with something like pornography.
Right. And oftentimes we hear the word medication
as
another term.
Yeah, exactly.
To talk about the addiction to pornography. So we want to bring people up to speed a little bit. Since you were with us last, you and your lovely wife Shaloma have welcomed a baby boy into your home.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, he's around 8 months now, right?
8 months. Hopefully the bags under my eyes aren't too big here. Yeah.
You're getting a little more sleep these days. Baby Judah is his name.
Yes.
How are you finding fatherhood?
It's amazing. Yeah, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me, for sure. Yeah, other than giving my life to Jesus and getting married, obviously, I need to state those things.
Yes,
but
that's right.
No, it's amazing. I can't imagine my life without him, and he's only been around for 8 months.
Yeah, as a new father, I know you've been really impacted by how, pornography addiction can really have a destructive impact on and generational consequences for children for generations to come.
Yeah.
How's this reinvigorated your passion to see men get free?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to try not to use too many cliches, but in a line, like, it really has changed everything for me. That's true personally, but even professionally, because I thought when I started doing this work, this was about helping guys walk in integrity, walk in freedom, and live a better life. And what I have realized with time is that if you change the man, you change the world. And the world becomes a better place when people walk in integrity and freedom because they treat people better. They think about how to make the world a better place. I mean, the number of guys that we've helped quit pornography that have gone on to start businesses, get promotions in their careers, become better husbands, better fathers, that list is endless. It grows every day. And when they make the world a better place, I mean, it's great for everybody, but it's great for my son too. Like, I'm thinking about him now, the world he's going to grow up in, and I want to play a role in making sure the world's a better place for him.
How do you plan to safeguard Judah's heart from this potential for a destructive pattern in his life?
I think there's only two things I can really do. Number one is it's pretty likely he will get exposed at some point. My job is to prepare him for that exposure. So it's not a question of like, oh, I hope he never watches the stuff, but that when he does, he's adequately equipped. And I think that happens with conversations at the home. So my wife and I talk about this all the time. When are we going to bring this up and how are we going to talk about it? And even just using appropriate terminology for his anatomy, all that kind of stuff to just try to de-shame the whole sexual experience and really make sure that he can come to mom and dad safely. And I mean, this is true now whether I like it or not, but my story's everywhere. And I want him to hear my story about my struggles, my shortcomings, how it affected me. Not to like scare him or anything, but to let him know like this is a really tough area. People do fall short. And even if you do fall short, God's got you. He's going to back you up, and he can turn all of those really ugly failures into something really beautiful that not just makes your life better, but actually the entire world.
Yeah, I love that. And you're noticing a big shift in the conversation, even outside of church circles.
Yeah,
I mean, you're talking about how you're going to have the conversation at home and age-appropriate terminology and that sort of thing. But now you're having opportunities to talk in forums where Christ is not necessarily at the center, and even those forums are recognizing pornography as an issue. Talk to us about that change in conversation.
Yeah, I mean, our podcast alone has grown a lot. It was very niche. It was very like a small subset. But part of the reason it's grown is because I've been invited onto some huge platforms in fitness and masculinity and relationship spaces that aren't even necessarily faith-based, but they're just observing like everybody's struggling with pornography. When relationships don't have pornography in it, they seem to do better. And when people do have pornography in their lives, they really struggle. Yeah, there's been an awakening in the last couple of years. It's been really encouraging to see.
For someone that's watching right now that's struggling, that feels hopeless, is there hope? That's ultimately what they want to know. Yeah,
it's not just that there's hope, because I think hope sometimes can feel very distant, very like, yeah, there's a chance.
Right.
What I would say is there's actually ways, we know ways now between our own work, research, and scripture, there's things we can do to stack the odds in your favor of you actually succeeding in your recovery efforts and not failing again. 100%.
Amazing. And I know I was looking into some of the statistics of Deep Clean. You've got like a 70% success rate.
Yeah.
For first 4 months.
First 4 months, the longer they stay with us, the higher that rate goes.
Yeah. And it's about that regular accountability, right?
Yeah.
Finding the safety of restoration in a trusted community, I know, is really important, integral to your program.
Yeah.
For the guy that's holding back because of shame and guilt, what would you say to him right now?
I would say I get it. You don't have a lot to lose by taking a chance, you know? And everybody wants to take that step and know that it's for sure going to work. I wish I could promise that. But what I can say is that God rewards those who take risks. And so you have very little to lose by trying something different, but actually you lose a lot more when you stay stuck in the shame. That's what shame wants you to do.
And for someone that might be interested in getting in touch with Deep Clean, what are some of the pillars of the process?
Yeah.
Program.
You know what, the thing that we drive home the most, there's 3 pillars, but the thing that we see, especially in men, is our first pillar is emotional fitness or self-awareness. Gaining that understanding of the inner life. Like most guys, like we didn't grow up learning how to get in touch with our feelings, learning how to verbalize what we were thinking about, all that kind of stuff. That seems to be where guys get a lot of the breakthroughs. And without that, you know, you can work through your traumas. You can even have an identity shift, but without that self-awareness, that's what really keeps the success going long term. So that's where people would start. Talk to someone you love or get a journal. Easiest way to do it.
Yeah. And I love that. And talking about success, tell us about what's in the future for Deep Clean, because there are a lot of men that have come through the program successfully and are now asking, what now?
Yeah.
Like, how can I either have an impact in other guys' lives or
Yeah.
Where can I go from here? What are you guys working on?
Yeah, so basically we were like a little bit flat-footed. Like they asked this question, they're like, what's next? And we're like, we're not sure. You know, we were just focusing on helping guys quit porn. So we've just been surveying guys. We have 5 areas where our guys really want help. It's identity, habits and productivity, emotional fitness, what I just talked about, relationships, and spiritual growth. So we're building programs that center around these subjects so that we can literally change the man. Like this is not just about, it's not a purity group. It's not just about getting rid of pornography. It's about becoming the person God made you to be. Yes, step 1 is definitely walk in integrity. Let's get all the junk out of your life. But step 2 is like, let's set you on fire so you can go set the world on fire.
Yeah, I love that. And you know, the centerpiece to what you guys do at Deep Clean and what you've experienced in your own life, Sathiya, and the countless men that you've helped is putting Jesus right there, front and center, as the creator of us and the creator of that vacuum in us that we often talk about. People don't necessarily get it, but we've got a void within us that we try to fill with other stuff, and oftentimes pornography can be one of those things that we try to fill in that God-shaped void. We know that Jesus is the only one that can come in and make the difference, and it starts with a relationship with Him. It starts with that decision to invite Him into the narrative, into the restoration process. Always a pleasure to have you with us.
Likewise. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, it's good to catch up with you. We know that God desires sexual wholeness for all of us, and we know that it's not just an issue that men deal with, but for women as well. It's encouraging to know that healthy sexuality is possible. We can be free from porn addiction and other things that we might find ourselves addicted to. So thank you for sharing with us. And you know what? Listen, I want to encourage our viewers. A great place to start is call our anonymous prayer lines. You can call. You don't have to give your name. You don't have to tell them anything about you personally. Just say, I'd like prayer in this area, and we're going to do one of 2 things. We're going to do both things, actually. We're going to pray with you first, because that's what you've asked for. And secondly, we're going to put you in touch with resources like Deep Clean to help you further your journey towards wholeness and purity with a God-centered approach that will set you on a trajectory for wholeness in the truest sense of the word. Thanks once again, Sathiya, for being with us today. And God bless you. Can't wait to catch up with you again soon, my friend.
Thanks for having me. My pleasure.